Okay, so in this video, we'll be talking about some pretty recent news involving Teddi Mellencamp. There are really two main things buzzing right now. First, she's actually confirmed she has a new boyfriend. And second, there's this pretty significant rumor about her maybe returning to reality TV.
Let's start with the relationship news, maybe.
Yeah, okay, so this came straight from Teddi on her podcast. She basically said, yes, she is dating someone new. And she described him quite positively, said he's kind, takes really good care of her, just a good person, basically.
And she was quite upfront about keeping his name under wraps, wasn't she?
Yeah.
She mentioned that he didn't actually know she was famous when they met, which must be, well, unusual for her.
Definitely.
And that he's just a genuinely private individual, so protecting that privacy seems really key for both of them.
Makes sense.
She also made a point to say he's not married and doesn't have kids, just clearing the air on potential speculation, I guess.
Okay, so let's pivot then. The other big story is this rumor about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Ah, yes, the potential comeback.
The rumor is she might be returning for season 15.
And this seems to be coming from, like, an alleged insider source.
That's what's reported, yeah. And the story goes that Kyle Richards is supposedly behind it.
Supposedly pushing for it, convincing the producers to bring Teddi back.
There was even a quote included in the source, pretty harsh, calling her the teacher's pet, getting back on, making the show unwatchable.
Oof.
And it seems like that kind of sentiment, or at least, not exactly excitement, is fairly common among fans online.
Yeah, the source reporting on the fan reactions definitely leaned that way. Lots of negativity cited. People apparently bringing up old criticisms, calling her a follower, boring, criticizing a perceived lack of accountability.
Right. Things that came up during her original run on the show.
Exactly. And some viewers apparently are even saying they boycott the show if she returned. So it's quite a strong negative reaction from at least one segment of the audience.
Wow. So you got this real contrast then. Okay, next, let's get into what's happening with the Valley. A lot of the sources are really focused on Jax Taylor and Brittany Cartwright, especially the drama around their podcast, When Reality Hits with Jax and Brittany.
Yeah, that podcast seems to be a huge point of contention since they split up earlier this year. Jax has apparently said it's, like, super successful, making around $1 million a year, which is, wow.
$1 million, yeah, that's serious money. And Jax's side of the story, from what we're seeing, is that when they broke up back in early 2024, he basically just gave Brittany his whole share, like $500,000 worth, plus the RSS feed.
Right, and he framed it as, a way to stop hearing about the house payment and just make things square between them. He said he signed the papers, handed it all over.
But then you read Brittany's side, completely different.
Totally. She's saying he never did hand over that feed. Her story is the podcast just kept going as, like, a joint thing until the contract ran out. And now she's claiming he's dragging his feet on signing it over because it's worth so much.
And she feels like he's holding it over her head.
Exactly. Like using it as leverage, maybe for stuff with their son, Cruz, or, time together. That's her allegation anyway.
Wow. And she feels she deserves it, right? Because she did more of the work.
Yeah, that's her argument. She says she did much more work, developed the whole idea, and it was kind of like she was just interviewing him because he, quote, never wrote questions.
Okay, so she feels she put in the sweat equity.
Right. And then she connects this whole thing back to their money problems, specifically the house. She points out she's paying like an extra $10,000 a month on the mortgage.
$10,000 extra. Why?
Because of Jax's tax debt apparently being tacked onto the loan. So you can see why she'd find it unfair, right? He's fighting her on this podcast income while she's covering this huge extra cost tied to his taxes. She's even questioning if she'll ever actually profit from the podcast after paying that debt for years.
That's messy. But Jax has a different take on the house situation too, doesn't he?
Oh, completely. He says the house is going entirely to Brittany, like fully in her name. He claims she actually paid off the whole mortgage when he was in rehab, just wrote a check.
Paid it off entirely.
That's his claim. He framed it like a good deed for Brittany and Cruz, saying his son loves the house and he didn't want to, mess up their lives. He says he's ready to just start over from scratch.
Okay, shifting gears slightly, but still on the Valley. Next update we have about the show itself, Season 3. Sounds like there could be some cast changes coming.
Yeah, there's a report suggesting potential shakeups. And it seems to stem from all this tension we're talking about, plus other conflicts. Production is apparently casting, kind of trying to avoid ending up like Vanderpump Rules, where people just won't film together.
Right, that's got to be a nightmare logistically.
Exactly. And the sources point to the really bitter divorces, Jax and Brittany, obviously, but also Jessie Lally and Michelle Sanny making it super hard to get these ex-couples to, interact naturally on camera.
So who's reportedly safe then?
According to this report, Jessie Lally, Kristen Dude, and her fiancé Luke Broderick, and Nia and Danny Bucco seem to be okay for season 3.
But Jax and Brittany, uncertain.
Yeah, production is reportedly unsure about them, and Janet Caperna's spot is also kind of up in the air. The source mentioned she's supposedly feuding with almost everyone, which is, well, not usually great for staying on these shows.
Definitely not. So any potential new faces mentioned?
Oh, yeah, and this is where it gets interesting. The names being floated are Tom Sandoval, Tom Schwartz.
Wait, from Vanderpump Rules?
Yep. Also, Ariana Maddox's brother, Jeremy Maddox, the ex-girlfriend of Michelle Sanny's new boyfriend, Aaron Nosler, and Jessie Lally's new girlfriend, Lacey Nicole.
Wow. Injecting some familiar and maybe controversial faces. Interesting they didn't mention Jasmine Good or Zach Wickham, though.
Right. They weren't in that particular report. But yeah, this potential list really suggests producers are thinking about bringing in fresh drama, maybe leveraging those existing reality TV connections if the current group dynamic is fractured. It's a pretty standard playbook, honestly.
Okay, let's transition now. Big one here. Paige DeSorbo confirmed she's leaving the show.
Yeah, after 7 seasons, she announced it on Instagram, called it a life update, said her time on the show was one of the most rewarding chapters, talked about the friendships, the drama, the laughs, watching herself grow up.
She started way back in season 3, right, 2019. And we saw her on Winter House, Southern Charm, with Craig Conover, her ex now.
Exactly. And in her statement, she thanked everyone, cast, fans, NBC Universal, saying the chapter's closing like all good things, and some bad decisions, which is kind of funny.
Huh? Yeah. But she did tease more to come, right? They said we haven't seen the last of her, which makes sense. She's got that popular podcast with Hannah Berner, their book.
Right, How to Giggle. But what makes this exit timing, well, particularly interesting, according to the sources, is how it connects to what she said at the season 9 reunion, specifically about Craig Conover and that whole wedding incident.
Ah, yes. The Amanda and Kyle wedding drama. She finally confirmed the rumors after denying them for so long, didn't she? Andy Cohen kind of pushed her on it.
He did, especially after Kyle had confirmed some details. And Paige finally, changed her story and admitted it happened.
So what exactly did she say went down?
Well, Amanda first said Craig was told to leave our property. Paige agreed. Then Paige described him as belligerently drunk, causing a scene, kicking tables, yelling at people. And the big one was that he apparently went inside Amanda's parents' house, which guests were specifically told not to do.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's bad. How did she seem talking about it?
Pretty strong reaction. Called him an entitled brat, an embarrassment. She talked about how uncomfortable it made her, saying she'd never had to lie in my entire life until I started dating him, and how she always felt she had to defuse things and lie for him. She even said she'll never say his name again.
Wow, never say his name again. That's intense. Speaks volumes.
It really does. And there was also a bit at the reunion about their breakup timeline. Paige insisted she ended it definitively end of Thanksgiving weekend, mailed his stuff back later, said she announced it around New Year's just to get ahead of any speculation if he was seen out.
Gotcha. Okay, still in the Summer House world, another breakup confirmed at the reunion. Lindsay Hubbard and her boyfriend, Turner Kufe.
Yeah, she dropped that news during the taping, and apparently it really surprised her castmates. She said they split up a few months before they filmed the reunion, which wasn't long after their daughter Gemma was born in December.
But she said they're focused on co-parenting now.
Right. Her focus, she said, is on being the best parents, described them as co-parents and an amazing team.
How did the others react?
Surprise, mostly. Gabby Prescod said it was hard to tell they weren't together. West Wilson and Amanda Batula were shocked. Amanda called Turner a supportive man.
And what's the living situation? Didn't she say he still stays over sometimes?
Yeah, she clarified he still sleeps over sometimes, but then quickly added, not friends with benefits, making that distinction clear.
Okay. Did anyone offer insight into why they split?
Well, Gabby kind of chimed in. She saw it as a mature decision by Lindsay. Felt Lindsay realized Turner was a great dad to Gemma, but he's not the person romantically for me. Gabby framed it as maturity, realizing that instead of trying to force it just to stay together as a family unit.
Interesting perspective. And is Lindsay dating again?
She said she's not there yet. And she doesn't think Turner is dating anyone either, partly because, like she said, he's still sleeping over half the week.
Right. It sounds like a complicated situation trying to co-parent so closely right after a breakup.
Definitely highlights those challenges, especially when you're still kind of sharing space, but trying to navigate separate romantic futures.
All right, let's shift over to the Real Housewives universe now. Starting down in Miami, there's a preview out for Season 7 that shows a massive fight between Larsa Pippen and Lisa Hochstein.
Yeah, and the trigger for this fight, based on the preview, seems to be Lisa talking to Larsa's ex, Marcus Jordan, after their pretty public split back in March.
Okay, so Larsa's not happy about that. What's her specific issue?
Her concern, basically, is she doesn't want Lisa hanging out with Marcus while she's trying to cut ties. She's worried he'll text her details of their chats, especially since Larsa claims he's been bashing me publicly.
Makes sense she wouldn't want that. What's Lisa's response?
Lisa's defense in the clip is kind of like, I can't control another person. She says she's not okay with him bashing Larsa and insists she's always been with Larsa, implying loyalty.
And that's when Larsa drops that really explicit line, right?
Oh, yeah. Larsa hits back with, can't you influence a guy whose dish you sue every night?
Whoa, okay. Yeah, that's direct. How does Lisa react to that?
In her confessional, Lisa goes off, calls Larsa super selfish, super entitled, so rude, for talking about Sudi in her house. She adds, have some foo manners, Larsa, and then clarifies kind of hilariously, I don't Sudi every night. I'm a mom of 2. I'm busy. I have like 5 full-time jobs.
Okay, well, that certainly escalated quickly. Okay, let's head north now. Some really wild news out of Atlanta involving Apollo Nita. He revealed a huge family secret.
Yeah, a massive one. Apollo revealed he has a secret adult son. He actually found out about him while he was in prison. A woman contacted him.
Wow, how did that play out?
Apparently, his wife at the time, Shireen El-Mastam, found out about the letters and told him during a prison visit. But the connection story is kind of wild, too. The son himself eventually reached out to Apollo because people noticed a resemblance, and Shireen actually helped connect them, contacted Apollo's brother, flew to Atlanta to meet the son, who was already in his early 20s and had apparently been in Atlanta the whole time.
No way. So he was nearby all along. Did Apollo believe it right away?
He said he got pictures when he was in prison that convinced him it was possible, and later, a DNA test done through his mother confirmed it.
Okay, so it's confirmed. But the way he revealed this publicly is the really dramatic part.
Absolutely nuts. He told this entire story on a podcast, the Any Second podcast, hosted by a guy named Trey Cribb. And then, at the very end of the interview, after sharing the whole journey of finding the secret son, Apollo revealed that Trey Cribb, the host interviewing him, is that son.
Get out! The podcast host was the secret son.
Yes. They ended the interview exchanging I love yous,
Right.
and Trey thanked him for reaching out. It was incredibly dramatic.
That is unbelievable.
I mean, it's an extraordinary way to handle something so personal, very reality TV maybe, making the private incredibly public in a performative way.
Definitely memorable. Okay, let's head west coast now, Orange County. The trailer for Season 19 just dropped, and it looks tense.
Packed. It kicks off with scenes of lie detector tests, talk about a snake in this group, lines like, no one likes a liar, setting a tone of distrust right away.
And guess who's back to stir the pot? Slade Smiley and Gretchen Rossi. And they're immediately going at it with Tamra Judge.
Yep, picking up right where they left off, like 12 years ago. There's a clip of Slade calling someone Captain Evil, Tamra yelling about him going after her for 12 years, Gretchen yelling back. It's instant fireworks.
And there's a huge accusation against Tamra in there too, right? About an affair.
Exactly. That seems like a major storyline. Emily Simpson is shown telling Tamra that Gretchen said she had an affair. Then Emily asks about audio of someone having sex, and Tamra's just fiercely denying it, insisting Gretchen is lying.
Okay, so that's going to be big. What else is happening with the cast? Sounds like a lot.
Yeah, lots of personal stuff. Emily and Shane Simpson seem to be having serious marital problems. Emily literally says she's afraid they're going to end up divorced and mentions their son Luke is in crisis.
Oh, that's heavy.
Definitely. And Gina Kirchenheiter and Travis Mullen are back in court dealing with drama involving his ex-wife over his son. Gina says something like, whenever Travis and I are happy, we pay for it. So, ongoing stress there. Katie Ginella's back too, but seems to be causing trouble. Tamra calls her a silent assassin, and Shannon says to someone, what you did is illegal.
Illegal. Oh, okay. What about Heather Dubrow?
Heather's in the mix. We see her meeting with Josh Altman and Josh Flagg, those big LA real estate guys, apparently, about selling her $25 million Beverly Hills place. And someone asks her if she'd rather be on Beverly Hills Housewives stirring that pot. Plus, she's seen clashing with Gretchen Rossi, too.
Of course she is. And Jennifer Pedranti. Wedding planning.
Yep, planning her wedding to Ryan Boyajian. But there's drama there, too, because it looks like she doesn't want Tamra at the wedding. Someone, probably Jennifer, tells Heather that Tamra caused so much pain.
Oof. So Tamra's definitely central to a lot of the conflict again.
Seems that way.
Yeah.
But amidst all the affairs, legal battles, and feuds, the trailer does give Shannon Beador a lighter moment. She declares she's ready to mingle.
Huh. Classic Shannon.
And she's shown taking a lie detector test where she confirms she made out with multiple men in Newport.
Amazing. So that was quite a ride through all the latest reality TV buzz from these sources. So if you want to keep up with all this, make sure you subscribe to Real Tea TV.
Yeah, and hit that bell icon. You don't want to miss our next breakdown.
Thank you for watching this video. See you tomorrow.